It's 2200 hours in Banjul, and from Grts this is the news, broadcasting live for viewers in the Gambia and around the world. On the top of the news this hour, Vice President Dr. Aissatou Toure received senior players of the National Scorpions team at the State House in Banjul. Basic and Secondary Education Minister lays foundation stone for the construction of a teachers' quarters at the borderline community of Bolibana in the Upper River region. Local authorities undertake major road drainage works across the greater Banjul areas to mitigate the effects of flooding ahead of the rainy season. In sports, the National Domestic Division 2 League edges closer to the end, with league leaders Falcon and Samga football clubs all poised to clinch the crown. Plus, Uganda begins registration of the 16 identified vulnerable groups identified to receive $30 as COVID-19 relief support. Well, all that and much more coming ahead in this edition of the news. I am Aissatou Keita, and thanks for joining us. Well, a very warm welcome to GRTS News, and we begin this newscast with the Vice President, Dr. Aissatou Toure, who on Thursday received in audience some senior players of the Gambian national team at State House in Banjul. The players were led to the presidency by the Presidential Advisor on Youth Matters, Henry Gomez, and the Gambia's Goodwill Ambassador on Sports, Tijan Jaite. The dialogue, according to the players, is meant to show appreciation to the government for the continuous support to the senior national team and to discuss plans and way forward for football in the country. Yellow Jallo has the details.
The dialogue, according to players, is meant to seek support as well as show appreciation to the government for its support to the senior national team. The Vice President, Dr. Aissatou Toure, commended the boys for their sacrifice, dedication and patriotism to national duty while urging them to keep up the momentum. She used the opportunity to assure senior Scorpions of government's resolve to address their demands.
It is about the respect, the recognition and the motivation. That is why you came. You left all that to be part of the team to bring the flag of Gambia on top. So I don't think the money that is now at stake, that is being discussed, for me is not important. It is about people understanding it. And you know, people can politicize matters. And maybe sometimes it's not even coming from you, but it may be coming from other parties, not political parties. What I'm saying, parties in terms of actors who may want to misrepresent your perspectives in a way that will make people feel that you are working for money, and it is not. Of course, money is important, but we must understand where we are coming as a country. His Excellency President Barrow is making sure that youths are giving primary attention in his government, because he knows you are the leaders of today and tomorrow, and you are the demographic dividend that we have to unleash their potential for them to be able to contribute to the development and recognition of Gambia as a sovereign state, as a progressive state, as a democracy where freedom of expression, good governance and liberty is exercised.
The Minister of Youth and Sports, Bakari Baji, called on the boys to put national interests first.
Bonuses, qualification bonuses, yes, it's part of sports. But like the coach said, for the fact that there was no arrangement that was made to say if we win, if we qualify, we will have to get this, it will then be up to government to see what is available based on the resources and said we want to give this to the team. But now we recognize the fact that this is not much money. And we also did not say we are paying the team. We said we're giving this as a bonus because they have qualified to take us to the AFCON. Then government internally, we were discussing as to what else can we do in addition to that cash. But again, because of the unavailability of other means, at least at the moment, we thought it would have been important just to go ahead and do that ceremony and present to them whatever we have.
The Presidential Advisor on Youth and Goodwill Ambassador on Sports, Henry Gomez and Tijan Jaite respectively, both as the players of government's commitment to the development of sports and football in particular. The manager of the national team and the Scorpions vice captain, Usman Joe Drame and Omar Koli, all hailed the government for their intervention in the senior national team and assured them of their readiness to dialogue to chart the way forward.
Our meeting today was to come together with the government, and also to show them appreciation for what they've been doing for us in the past. but also to show them that, we still need more. We still need more from them, because we all know football is, it's a game. Without finance, it can never go forward, So, especially when it comes to our traveling, I mean, it's getting better now, because our last two camps, we've been getting like a private chartered flight, which we really appreciated, and but still, we want to have more.
For GRTS News, this is Yero Jalo reporting.
The Minister of Basic and Secondary Education, Madam Claudiana A. Cole, has presided over the laying of the foundation stone of a staff quarters at the Bolibana Basic Cycle School in Kantora District, Upper River Region. The multi-million-dollar project is funded by the Gambia Teachers Union Cooperative Credit Union to help improve the living conditions of teachers who are finding it difficult to acquire housing in the hard-to-reach community. Seydou Kamara reports from the Upper River Region.
Construction of these staff quarters in the far-flung communities of Bolibana in the Kantora district is meant to address the challenges of teachers' accommodation in the school. Bolibana is one of the hard-to-reach communities that has faced with challenges of getting a decent staff quarters, thanks to the timely intervention by the Gambia Teachers Credit Union. Education officials have been hailing the move as a giant step in improving the welfare of teachers in the school and also enhance performance.
We talk about performance, but we rarely look at what teachers are going through. So this is one way of bringing it to the attention to the powers that be and support the teachers and address it.
We, Gambia Teachers we are proud to amplify our voices, to tell the whole world that our relationship with the Ministry of Basic and Secondary Education is a cordial one, is a friendly one. It is built on mutual respect and understanding. And when I sit down and I list the number of committees we sit on, they ask us, how do you do it? We do it because we don't throw stones. We negotiate, we lobby, we advocate, we sit around the table and we discuss, all for the interests of the teachers. And today, I am saying the commitment is more today than ever before. We will continue the dialogue. The interest of the teachers is what we believe in.
Cardinal objective of cooperative globally is helping members, and this was amply demonstrated by the Teachers Cooperative Union in the successful realization of this project.
It is important to note that Bolibana Basic Cycle is the furthest you can go east. If we go beyond this, we'll be in Senegal. Because when GTU decided in 1992 through a resolution to form a cooperative for its members, little did we know that the pioneers had a vision that we will at some point be able to do this for ourselves. This is significant.
And I went around, really, to be honest with you, it's very sad in some situations where teachers find it extremely difficult to find accommodation. Even wherein they have money, they find it difficult to get accommodation. So the best would be getting staff quarters for them in the schools where they teach, so that they free themselves from this burden of looking for accommodation in the schools that they teach.
The Minister of Basic and Secondary Education, Claudiana Cole, expressed delight and appreciation for the gesture rendered by the Gambia Teachers Cooperative Credit Union to construct a standard teachers' quarters in Bolibana to address the accommodation difficulties of teachers.
This teachers' quarters is going to be one of a kind. It's going to be one of a kind. And you can be proud of yourself. And you can be proud of the union to which you belong. I am proud of the union. Even though I am Minister of Basic and Secondary Education today, I have reached retirement age. I still contribute to the credit union. Jana Manida, am I right? Yes. Is my contribution still reaching you? And somebody just said it here, that the teachers are very important in the equation of education. And education is also important for self-development and as well as national development. Without education, there wouldn't be any national development.
Education officials are taking great steps to improve education service delivery, especially in rural Gambia. This facility intended for teachers in the community of Bolibana will significantly help to address accommodation challenges that have seen some of the teachers in this school temporarily lodged in classrooms. Said Kamara, reporting for Grts News from Basse Upper River Region.
Now, the second ordinary session of the National Assembly has presided over several reports of the Standing Committee on Public of the Appointments and the third reading of the Access to Information Bill 2021 and the Tourism Offences Amendment Bill 2021. By Ibrahim Cham was following proceedings in Banjul and files in the report.
Sittings of the National Assembly second ordinary session commenced by the submission of reports by the Standing Committee on Public Appointments under the chairmanship of Majority Leader and National Assembly Member for Combo South, Keba K. Barrow. The report states the confirmation of the nomination of retired Lieutenant Colonel Abdoulaye Conte as a member of the Gambia Armed Forces Council in accordance with Section 189, subsection 1G of the 1997 Constitution. Parliamentarians unanimously supported the nomination following the rejection of the previous nomination of Colonel Ndao Njai.
So it means that whoever is to be a member of the Armed Forces Council must have the capacity to advise the President in that regard in feeling of such important responsibilities. Looking at the credentials of the person nominated, retired Lieutenant Colonel Abdoulaye Conte, one would say that the committee has judiciously given us the recommendation.
The second report, tabled by the Public Appointments Standing Committee, was the appointment of Suleiman Samba and Mary Samba as members of the Judicial Service Commission, pursuant to Section 145, subsection 1D and 142, subsection 2 of the 1997 Constitution. Regarding these appointments, parliamentarians said both candidates are fit for the job in line with their credentials presented to the committee.
As for Mr. Samba Suleiman, he too has a long career in the civil service. He has served up to retirement and has assumed various functions in the civil service as well as the diplomatic service. So I want to believe that he's coming with a wealth of experience to be able to help this statutory and critical body.
However, the report was sent back to the Public Appointments Committee to verify the initials of the appointees before adoption. The final report for the day was the committee's nomination of the membership of the Gender Committee and several parliamentary friendship groups. This, however, sparked a debate on the selection process, as some parliamentarians requested for the omission of members like Fatou Matanjai, Yakou Majete, and Swaibu Toure, who was selected as chairman of the committee.
There are names that are factored here. You can see them in various committees of this National Assembly. They are also part and parcel of several friendship groups. So I don't know which methodology do they use to arrive at that. For instance, now you have there's a member here who belongs to 4 different committees, and belong to, as I'm speaking to you, he belonged to extra 2 friendship groups that are not yet treated, waiting to be treated. So the issue of we made emphasis on membership of committees and membership of friendship group is not realistic. However, I want the committee to have a relook at these proposals, relook on the membership of the committees, relook on the membership of friendship groups, and relook on the political party representation.
The Speaker of the House, Mariam Jack Denton, proposed for the clerk to circulate the names of all members in the Gender Committee and parliamentary friendship groups with a detailed explanation of how the selection process was conducted to all members of Parliament for further scrutiny. Sittings has been adjourned until Monday, the 5th of July. Reporting for Grts News, I'm by Ibrahim Cham.
The National Council for Civic Education, with funding support from UNFPA under the Peace Building Fund, on Tuesday organized a national interface dialogue between the security forces, youth and relevant stakeholders on the theme building cordial relations among stakeholders to preserve national security in the 2021 presidential elections and beyond. Here's more. Convergence of key stakeholders in the country with peace and security as a resonating theme of the convergence. It is one such under the auspices of the National Council for Civic Education, with support from UNFPA, with special focus on building cordial relations among stakeholders to preserve national security in the 2021 presidential elections and beyond.
An informed citizenry is a crucial component of a healthy and resilient democracy, driven by a conviction that every citizen has a role to play in the maintenance of peace and promoting the country's democratic credentials. The National Council for Civic Education engaged in a variety of civic education activities to inform citizens about their civic rights and responsibilities and empower them to be able to actively participate in governance and development process of the country.
This is why UNFPA, with the support of the United Nations Peace Building Fund, under a project titled Young Women and Men, are stakeholders in ensuring peaceful democratic processes and advocate for the prevention of violence and hate speech, is supporting the National Council and other partners to strengthen the conversations in the polity and to ensure peace in our processes.
Timely as said by stakeholders being one of the proactive measures used for the prevention and management strategies to respond to possible political disorders.
The IEC shall always encourage dialogue and consultation among stakeholders, as it has always been doing at all times. Furthermore, the IEC shall take part in any process that works towards the maintenance of peace and service at all times.
With this thematic area for our engagement today, I have strong conviction that the dialogue will go a long way in offering us a unique opportunity to review existing frameworks to formulate more effective mechanisms and measures to preventing and managing political processes to better avert all election-related violence.
Efforts like such couldn't go without the involvement of the youth folk, whose representative hammered home understands by young people in maintaining peace, whilst Honorable Halifa Saleh of the Inter-Party Committee stressed on the significant role being played by the party in that drive. It is a one-off setting, but certainly not the first such gathering as elections nears. Expectations are that discussions and recommendations that will emanate at the end of the gathering will augur well for the greater good of the country during elections and beyond. For Grts News, this is Aissatou Keita. Well, 148 calls have been frequent these days. Well, if you have been wondering why, you need not to worry at all, because the calls are not from scammers, but a move toward schemes of potential criminals. The Public Utility Regulatory Authority is working on this initiative. We were earlier joined by Binta Sane, Consumer Affairs Manager at Pura. Let's take a listen.
The toll-free number that is used at Pura is a toll-free number that consumers can call and lodge their complaints. We're using the 148 number to call people. If you would remember, some 2-3 weeks back, service providers were sending SMS texts to consumers, sensitizing them about the scammers that are here and how they should protect themselves. But we realized that not everybody understood the text, because not everybody could understand English. And as the Public Utilities Regulator is here for the entire consumer body and not just people who could understand English, we decided to use the 148 to call people using the local dialects to sensitize them about what the scammers are doing and how they can protect themselves, because informed consumer is a protected consumer.
So it seems like that's the actual message that Pura is trying to send across to the consumers.
Yes.
Okay, now there were reports of scamming incidences. Can you tell the public more about that?
Yes, the scanning incidences were related to the Nopal credit scam. For the past months, Gambians have been getting a lot of calls from scammers informing them. They would call you under the guise that they're in a problem or they need help. Some of them would even go to a point of telling you, I'm sick or I'm stuck. Please give your phone to your Nopal vendor. And if you give the phone to your Nopal vendor, what they would tell the Nopal vendor is that this person has the money, I've given him the money, please send me this amount of credit. They have done it to a lot of people. A lot of money has been sent. The highest we had was $90,000.
Wow.
Someone sent that amount of credit and it was all a scam. After, when the Nopal vendor gives back the consumer the telephone, that is when they realize that it's a scam, because they don't have any money. They don't even know these people. It's just helping them. Gambians being sympathetic and nice. So we took our responsibility to come out and educate consumers and inform them about what is happening so that they can protect themselves. That is the main reason why we're doing the calls and the texts and the SMS.
Okay. So isn't there any way that you work with GSM operators in order to be able to know who are the people that are actually behind this?
We are currently working with the GSM operators and getting to know who the people who are behind is, getting registration details. It's not difficult, but the Pura, we are taking our responsibility to take a further step than that, not just working with the GSM operators, but we currently have a task force that involves the police, that involves the SIS, state intelligence, because we want to apprehend people who are behind this scam and they face the full force of the law, because they cannot be scamming people. It's a criminal activity. You cannot affect people's livelihoods, and we just get the details of your registration and stop at that. So we currently have a task force that is working tirelessly day in, day out to see that these culprits are apprehended. But we are also taking our responsibility and educating consumers to be aware, because if the more people are aware, the less the scammers will be able to affect people's lives and businesses.
Okay, so it's like it doesn't only involve the GSM operators, but has gone beyond with the police, the police and other officials in the picture of all this.
Yes, the investigation has now involved law enforcement, because Pura, we want to go further to ensure that these criminals are apprehended and they face the law.
Okay, so finally, what more is Pura doing actually to address some of these issues that consumers face on a daily basis?
What we are doing is going out there, educating consumers. We attend radio programs, we use our social media platforms, we send information advocacy programs, we have outreach programs that we're doing all the time, just to inform consumers. Educated consumer is a protected consumer. We also have a toll-free line called, that is the 148 number. If you have any complaints or concerns with regards to any service that's a public duty that is under Pura that we regulate, you can call us on 148 and lodge your complaint. We will work on it. It's not just only the scam, because we regulate water, we regulate electricity, we regulate petroleum, we regulate the ISPs, we regulate the telecom sector. So any concerns or complaints you have with those sectors, and you call their customer service even once and you're not satisfied, you can call Pura on 148 and we will surely work on your complaints and provide solutions. 48 is...
Well, that was Binta Sane, Consumer Affairs Manager at Pura. Moving on, UNESCO NATCOM on Tuesday bankrolled a 2-day climate policy sensitization platform. As Modu Bajan reports, the conclave targeted women and youth stakeholders in line with the project dubbed Women and Youth Engagement through Disaster Risk Management for Sustainable Climate Change.
This 2-day conclave seeks to sensitize women and youth on climate change policy. Representing the National Commission for UNESCO, Maimouna Sidibe delved on the significance of the project, which seeks to address climate change challenges, as well as woes of the COVID-19 pandemic among women and youth.
In addition to limited awareness, we have realized that low literacy ratios among women and youth continue to impede climate change awareness in this country and resilience here. The COVID-19 pandemic, it is a crisis affecting every aspect of our lives, and one that has revealed the fragility of our interdependence with nature.
Additionally, addressing the gathering, Maimouna said that efforts are needed in order to take charge of emissions and other issues leading to global warming.
The International Climate Change IPCC warns that in order to contain the effects of global warming to 1.5 degrees centigrade until the end of this century, compared to the 2 degrees centigrade scenario regarded as catastrophic, we need rapid far-reaching and unprecedented changes in all aspects of society.
Going by the words of Dr. Dauda Baji of the National Environment Agency NEA, the challenges of climate change are humanly spearheaded. He added that this global constraint requires solutions from all and sundry.
The issue of climate change is a challenge for all humankind. And most of the problems that are associated with the change is ourselves. Now, what can we do as a people to address those problems? So you may recall the issues of climate change affect key sectors in our development, such as health, agriculture, ecosystem services, which we all depend on, and other important aspects. It is therefore our responsibility to address some of these problems.
For Omar Sise, a member of the National Assembly Select Committee on Environment, environment matters are important and as such require robust moves for their protection.
At the end of the day, everything will be tabled before the National Assembly for them to better legislate such laws in order to guide the environment. The way the environment is destroyed or is continually destroyed by the educated generation is not actually the way it was protected by the old people who were not even educated. So I think we have a greater role to play in this in order to better protect the environment, in order to ensure that the generations that are yet to come also can realize something from the environment.
NEA Senior Program Officer Mariatu Dumbuya, who also participated at the sensitization exercise, hailed the utilization of UNESCO's One Basket policy to address climate change issues.
The significance of this workshop is it's bringing different partners or stakeholders that have a stake in climate change to have one basket approach to the problem of climate change in the Gambia in supporting women and youth in the Gambia. If you've seen in the past, there are instances where different partners will come up with their own initiative to support women and youth without coming with a holistic approach to the extent the beneficiaries are not having what they are expected of having. And so many people are brought on board, especially the teachers who serve as role models within our community.
Lasting for 2 days, the engagement is duly meant to increase the awareness of participants so as to contribute to carbon reduction while being more resilient to the bottlenecks of climate change. For the news, this is Modu Bajan.
The Ministry of Environment, Climate Change and Natural Resources on Wednesday reviewed and validated the draft report on charcoal value chain assessment in the Gambia at the National Stakeholders Workshop in Bijolo. The report is the outcome of a consultancy funded by FAO under the community-based Sustainable Dryland Forest Management Project. Aisatu Jata Gasama.
This charcoal value chain assessment report aims to identify and promote viable options to augment the country's sustainable production and charcoal consumption. As Dr. Mustafa Sise of FAO explains, the report is set to form the Gambia's forestry policy formulation as well as the development of a long-term forestry sector plan, considering the value and contribution of the charcoal industry to the enhancement of livelihoods and the overall economy. Dr. Sise further delved on Sustainable Development Goal 15, including elements such as sustainable management of forests, reducing land degradation, deforestation, and biodiversity, amongst others.
A detailed assessment and review of the sector in terms of rules set and guiding principles, as well as practice, is needed to inform future policy direction and engagements that address in a holistic manner the issues in the charcoal sector, as well as potential viable enterprises. This must look beyond a single intervention along the value chain, but rather a combination of many things to make it successful and sustainable.
Dr. Sise again underscored the objective of the project, saying that it strengthens policy and institutional capacities as well as promotes sustainable community-based dryland forest management and restoration.
The study shows that charcoal value chain in the Gambia is characterized by poor regulatory frameworks dominated by a few businessmen. The use of old technology for charcoal production, for converting the wood to charcoal, is also a problem that needs to be looked at.
The Deputy Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Environment, Alhaji Manjang, noted that charcoal is being commercially produced in almost every part of the country. This, he said, makes it a business of choice for the rural poor as it contributes to their household income, mitigate food shortages and unemployment.
Surprisingly enough, for some of us who are sitting at the policy level, we pay very little attention to the ways in which charcoal is being produced and sold amid the existing ban. We all know that wood used for charcoal burning is harvested, but do we know or ever bother to know if the wood used to burn charcoal is harvested sustainably? Without coherent policies, charcoal production and transportation and distribution remain informal and, of course, unregulated.
Having conducted this, the lead consultant of the Institute for Social Research and Development, Falai C.K. Balde, dilated on some of the elements contained in the draft document.
Team 1 was the rural team that went to look at charcoal production at various levels. Team 2 was doing the urban consumption, was the urban team. You have another team looking at policy and as well as the regional exports. That's the trade aspect of it. 69,000 metric tons are still produced in the Gambia. The open fact is charcoal is produced in every region of this country. If you want to ban that, and there is no alternative, there is no other option, no other source of energy, then you're making life difficult for Gambians.
If validated, this blueprint will update available data on the charcoal industry in the Gambia and build its value chain in conjunction with all the relevant actors in charcoal industry. For the news, I am Aissatou Jaragasama.
Well, as the rainy season kicks off in the Gambia, local authorities have been busy excavating the road drainage system in the greater Banjul area in a bid to avoid blockage of rainwater, which could lead to flooding. Ibrahim Ajalo examines the excavation works along Kombasila Drive Highway, linking the Westfield roundabout to Brikama, the administrative town of the West Coast region.
This is the Kombasila Drive, a highway that links the Kanifi municipality to the West Coast region's town of Brikama. Currently, excavation of the drainage system on both sides of the road is underway thanks to the Kanifi Municipal Council in collaboration with the National Disaster Management Agency, NDMA. Residents and business operators bordering the highway acknowledge the importance of excavating the drainage system to allow free flow of rainwater.
The important is when it rains, so that the rain can move, so that we will not be disturbed by the rainwater to enter our shops. So that is very important, and to cover it because of the bad scent it gives us here. Yeah, that is very important. When it rains, all the road is full of water, so sometimes water will come and enter our shop. You see these blocks we put there to save our shop.
Mr. George Jata is the landlord of this compound at Ibo Town, near the highway. Aside from the advantages of the drainage system, Jata laments some challenges emanating from the system, which may cause flooding.
During the rainy season, some rubbish inside also, when water flow up, it used to get inside the home. And when it is get inside the home, we used to have so many problems over there. Sometimes it get inside our houses.
The National Disaster Management Agency is responsible for disaster mitigation and response in the country. Bubakar Fofana is a program officer at the NDMA. He observed the need for adequate and properly planned gutters to minimize chances of flooding.
The drainage system in this country is far from enough. You have seen it. Some places do not even have it at all. There are places that have it, but they are already blocked, because of environmental littering. So, but our plan is that we want most of these urban settlements to have a proper drainage system. so that if it rains, the water will be able to flow and then go to its destination.
Fofana said the NDMA is prepared for response to disasters across the country, while urging the public to desist from indiscriminate littering in the drainage system.
We are well prepared. Prior to the rainy season, we have contacted some of our partners, for example, area councils. They have worked with our regional offices. They have identified areas that they believe are blocking waterways, and then they made requests in relation to that, and we have also sent our heavy equipment to those areas. My appeal to the general public is that let us try to avoid littering in our environment, because if you look at our drainage system right now, you know, KMC and other stakeholders are currently, you know, challenged with resources to be able to clean up those drainage systems every year.
Another concern is the impact of climate change, which causes rise in sea level, posing potential risk of disaster. The Gambia has entered its rainy season, which is usually accompanied by floods and windstorm disasters, affecting dozens of households across the country. Ibrahima Diallo, GRTS News.
Well, that takes us to our break. Sports news is up next. Stay tuned. Welcome back. Now, the National Domestic Division 2 League continues to gain momentum as it edges closer to the end, with league leaders Falcon and second place Samga continue the heated chase for the title. The fight for the third and fourth place too is intense, with teams like Jam City, Team Rhino, Gunjur United and Steve Biko also fighting to be amongst those topping the list. Our reporter Farmer Abaji witnessed week 25 encounters where PSV Wellingara recorded a 1-0 win over the Rhino at the Independence Stadium in Bakau. Let's take a look.
With only 5 games to go, every game is like a final. No room for complacency, as some teams are fighting for the title, while others are fighting for survival. This encounter between Team Rhino in red and PSV Wellingara in black was tough from start to finish. A goal and 2 red cards were the highlights of the regulation time. Team Rhino were cut open at the back after just 4 minutes, and PSV's Bangali Chunkara could only hit wide from close range. From that moment, Rhino took command and exerted pressure on PSV, but in the process, they were only hitting at half chances. Instead, it was PSV who were making the more threatening moves as they came close on the 27th minute, and Modu Jallo squandered what really should have been a goal for PSV. And finally, PSV found a breakthrough goal after some uncertain defending by Team Rhino, as Mamadou Jallo paid for his earlier miss with a goal in the 41st minute. Already on the rope.
I guess we'll leave it at that, but before then, a look at our top stories once again. Vice President Dr. Aissatou Touré has received senior players of the National Scorpions team at the State House in Banjul. Basic and Secondary Education Minister has laid the foundation stone for the construction of a teacher's quarters at the borderline community of Bolibana in the Upper River region. Local authorities have undertaken major road drainage works across the Greater Banjul areas to mitigate the effects of flooding ahead of the rainy season. In sports, the National Domestic Division 2 League is edging closer to the end, with league leaders Falcon and Samga football clubs all poised to clinch the title. Plus, Uganda has begun the registration of the 16 identified vulnerable groups identified to receive $30 as COVID-19 relief support. Well, that was all we had time for in today's edition of the news. Well, from me and the entire news team, we want to thank you for the pleasure of your company. Do stay tuned to GRTS.